other day, everybody down at all the offices down on the loan side were all pitch black. It
Yeah.
was kind of strange.
I know they miss me terribly, I'm sure. Yeah, still got us stuck in the basement for a few more months, I guess.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, we can actually I guess go in when needed, or slowly purge, but full activities at the branch probably not till August.
Wow.
I should say the lenders and that. The tellers, of course, are there every day.
Right.
Oh,
They're the ones that do all the
there
work
she
anyway.
is.
Okay, we are live.
Okay. Welcome to Troy Planning Commission meeting for Wednesday, April 14th. Please call the roll.
Mayor Oda? Here. Mr. Westmeyer?
Here.
Mr. McGarry?
Here.
Mr. Wolke?
Here.
Mrs. Ehrlich?
Here.
Mr. Titterington?
Here.
Mr. Cappers?
Here.
All are present.
Okay, we have our minutes of our March 24th meeting. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to those minutes? And I'm going to start things off with a deletion, if you don't mind. Sue, in the first paragraph dealing with the historic district application for 126 South Cherry Street on the third line, there's some language there that says that they're now ready to install several items. And then it says that will complete the plans for the reuse of this property. The reuse plan that came before us was just to put that in green space. So I would like to have deleted the phrase that will complete the plans for the reuse of the property, and then everything else is true.
All right.
So as amended, I would move that the minutes be adopted.
I so move.
Okay. Sandra moved it. Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Mayor seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, they're adopted. Okay, the first matter to come before us then is the historic district application for the demolition of 112, 118 West Main Street. I'll entertain a motion to take that off the table for discussion.
I'll make a motion to remove it from the table for discussion.
Second.
There's a second by Mr. Westmeyer. Please call the roll.
Westmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. McGarry?
Yes.
Wolke? Mr. Wolke?
Yes.
Mrs. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Titterington?
Yes.
Mr. Cappers?
Yes.
Mayor? Yes. Off the table.
Okay, we've had some information from the applicant asking us to approve the withdrawal of his application for demolition. I think the commission members may have gotten a copy of that letter in advance of the meeting. I would entertain a motion to accept that withdrawal of the application for demolition.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Wolke, seconded by Mr. Westmeyer. Any further discussion or questions concerning that? If
Would
not,
the administration like to add anything?
would staff like to add anything concerning this matter?
No, well, other than we know they have a purchase agreement, as you saw in the letter. They are contemplating a sale, and the buyer would rehabilitate the building with possible uses on the first and second floor.
Good, good. Okay, please call the roll.
Mr. McGarry?
Yes.
Mr. Wolke?
Yes.
Mrs. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Titterington?
Yes.
Mr. Cappers?
Yes.
Mayor? Yes. Mr. Westmeyer?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
How many months was that on the table? I think that was kind of the record. So,
Forgot or something.
okay, next item would be the historic district application for 408 West Main Street for a wall sign. Does staff have a report?
We do. Tom Harris, the applicant for Harris Steinworks, has submitted application for 408 West Main Street. The property is zoned B2 general business. And just for the record, no relation to me, last name. But the request is for 8 square foot sign that's circular I'm sorry, a 3 square foot sign is circular, 24 by 24. And it's located 8 feet above grade, just left of the door of 408 West Main Street. The sign is a cedar, sandblasted cedar sign, and it's advertising the business, which has 3 colors: green tartan, rural green, and celebration gold.
Is that the report?
Sorry. Staff does recommend the sign as proposed.
Any questions of staff?
It's where this little circle is drawn on the picture of the building? Is that
Yeah.
right? Okay, thank you.
Commission want to take any action on this matter?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and support for the motion. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Wolke,
Yes.
Mrs. Ehrlich,
Yes.
Mr. Titterington,
Yes.
Mr. Peppers,
Yes.
Mayor. Mr. Westmeyer,
Yes.
Mr. McGarry.
yes,
Motion is approved.
Next is a historic district application for 215 West Water Street to repaint the exterior of a building. Staff have a report.
Yes, we do. Lene Brosh with Water Street Investment, managing partner for Shipman, Dixon, and Livingston Law Office, 215 West Water Street, has submitted an application for repainting the building. You'll see a picture with essentially 2 colors currently, and the primary building is being proposed for Anchors Away, which the primary color is March Wind, the gray color, and that's in the packet, Sherwin-Williams 7668, and then the trim will be Anchors Away, which is a dark blue. And that's also pinpointed on the photo provided. Staff does recommend those proposed colors.
Any questions of staff?
Yeah, Mr. Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
when I'm looking at the chip on the page with March Wind, there's actually 2 colors that show up here. Is it the darker one or the lighter one?
It'd be the darker one at the bottom. Customized, it looks like the March Wind color, be a little bit more darker.
Okay, and so when I look at the building currently looks like it has 3 different colors. It has a trim color, it has the main building color, and then the brick, which is the vertical edges, look like it might be a 3rd color.
I believe that's just natural stone color.
Just
Yes.
now.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the explanation on that, Greg. The corners, Mr. Pitter, I think you were asking about the corners.
Yes.
Is that going to be the same color or the different color?
Yeah, I believe those are unpainted, so those would remain as natural stone.
Got it.
They will remain the same color they are now then?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I see Lene there shaking her head yes also, so thank you. Any other questions of staff?
The awning remains as it is?
Mr.
To my knowledge, the awning would remain the same unless they have.
Lene, you want to shake your head yes or no on that one?
The awning, we're planning on buying a new awning that'll be the dark blue color.
Oh, wonderful.
What is that? There wasn't.
So
Is that
to
wonderful?
clarify,
Motion.
should that be part of the recommendation, Lene, to have that awning to be dark blue or the gray?
If it needs to be, then yes, because we plan on changing the awning to the dark blue.
Okay. And
Dark blue, meaning inches away.
the Anchors
So it would
Away.
be the same color.
You have a question, okay? The color of the awning, you say it's going to be blue. Is it going to be the Anchors Away color? Or is it a 4th color?
It's going to be as close to the Anchors Away color as we can get. Obviously, we have to order it from a different company because it's not a paint color.
So what I'm hearing so far is that the application has been amended to request a dark blue color of the awning and asking that for approval. Is that right, Lene?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve with that addition with the awning.
I'll second that.
Support for the motion as well. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Ehrlich,
Yes.
Mr. Titterington,
Yes.
Mr. Peppers,
Yes.
Mayor. Yes. Mr. Westmeyer,
Yes.
Mr. McGarry,
yes,
Mr. Wolke,
Yes.
approved.
Next, we have a historic district application for 101 West Franklin Street for a new sign. Does staff have a report?
Yes, we do. Lori Sleezer with Aristoti Rehab Centers is requesting a 8 square foot wall sign on the side of the building as shown in the picture. It's a 48-inch by 24-inch. It's composite is solid plastic 4. It's got the company's logo colors of blue, orange, and gray as pictured. And this is their 3rd sign. You may recall that they were getting a review in January and also in March for smaller signs, different locations. So this will be the 3rd one. It does comply with the Detroit sign code, and staff recommends approval.
Any questions of staff? I have a question. It seems to me that sometime in the past, we've objected to signage with telephone numbers or email addresses or websites. I think we did that perhaps on Thrush.
We did on Thrush, that's correct, but then.
I can't quite understand the comment, Mr. Titterington.
I don't know why this is not working. But, that's correct. Rush, we did reject that one, and I believe there was a church at one point. Might have been in the Mower
Yes.
building. But I think we've also approved more recently, only because it was more understated. The eliminated websites, yeah, that's been consistent.
Well, this sign has the website. It's right next to a sign that already has a telephone number on it. I don't know where that came from, if we've pre-approved that or not. I don't know. What the arguments were to start out with was that signage, I believe, was for identification of the business that's in the building, not necessarily to advertise the information that you would see elsewhere. I don't know, what's the rest of the commission think about it?
It predates me, so I don't understand the objection to begin with. Sorry.
I remember the discussion, but I don't remember the outcome.
Well, the outcome, I think, on Thrush is we made them take it off of their sign.
yeah. I know Thrush made some modifications because it basically, for better description, it looked like their business card.
Right.
It was like one big advertisement. Yeah, this gets very subjective in whether or not phone numbers and websites in today's world are actually advertising, but it's probably something we need to explore.
I take a look at signage as being a point of identification so the consumer can find the door to the entrance, know that the business is this business once they get to the position. So if it had an address, physical address on the sign, that makes sense. The name of the business makes sense. But I don't know about a telephone number and a website.
You make a good point. That's and you know, I know when you talk about also in the historical district, the historical nature, obviously, the websites don't necessarily fit into the last 20 years even, so.
I think the sign doesn't bother me the way I see it. It's on the side of the building.
Mayor, if I might comment on that, if we permit this on the side of the building, we'll permit it on sides of all buildings, or are we making a precedent for permitting it on signs?
Right, so what is our policy?
Right.
Do we have one?
I don't necessarily think it has to be all or nothing. If you want to, because it's on the side, if you wanted to approve this, I don't think that means that any sign coming here forward would have to have that information on it, especially if it's more prominent. But that's obviously up to the planning commission to determine what they like.
I think it's hard to say no to anybody in the future if you let it happen. I mean, I would think you want to be consistent with the phone numbers and the email addresses.
I agree.
So are we saying we don't have any guidelines or policies against it, or I didn't really hear Patrick very well, if it's an official guideline or not?
I don't think there's an official guideline. Sorry, I think we had the wrong mics on. So is that clear?
Yeah,
Yes.
much better.
I'm surprised you could hear Greg, but it doesn't sound recently like we've been very consistent otherwise, or other than just taking it as a whole, each sign that we've looked at. I think, Jim, you're absolutely correct. The Thrush sign did look like their business card, and it did have the address, the phone number, the website, all on it. And I think we had various objections to that first attempt with Thrush, which we may or may not have with this sign.
It sounds to me like one is an aesthetic, and that you didn't zero in on the website and the phone number. You just didn't like aesthetically how it looked. Is that correct? In the past?
On Thrush, it was the address, the phone number and the email address, which was the problem.
Okay.
Yeah, and it may have been, I can't remember. There may have been another sign that we discussed somewhere on West Main Street also.
Was it the Moeller Brew Barn?
No, I don't think it was Muller, possibly a real estate company.
Oh, there was something that they were putting their email address on the sign.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of uncomfortable having this discussion and not really just everybody deciding, how do I feel about this? Seems like we should have a definite standard instead of all of us just deciding what we like and what we don't.
Well, in order to get a definite standard, I think we need to change the council and need to pass an ordinance on that. But as far as a guideline, we can go ahead and give staff an idea as to what we will accept and what we won't accept in the future.
I can tell you that based on the current law, that we've been advised that council would not weigh in on this kind of an issue because the decision, the sign related decision, as far as an ordinance goes, would be based on the content. And to make the decision, you would have to read the content, which the Supreme Court recently, or a year or two ago, said you can't do. So this really would fall under the architectural review provisions, which is why it's coming up now as historic review, which gives the planning commission more flexibility. So if the planning commission comes up with their own standard, it's one that the staff will apply when we get future downtown historic district sign applications. If we don't want to see websites on it, then if it's the consensus of the planning commission, then that's what the staff will tell applicants from now on.
Agree. Okay, I'll just throw it out there. I have a problem with the telephone numbers and websites and email addresses on signs that show what business is being undertaken in the building. It ought to be the name of the business, and that's about it. I don't know where everybody else stands.
The sign doesn't bother.
Where would you stand on the part that says "we fix pain fast"?
Well, I wasn't focusing on that because I was going to go ahead and say that that was part of the name of the business.
Well, it doesn't necessarily describing possibly what the building or the business is. I mean, it's like Thrush, home improvements or Thrush, remodeling, gives an identifier of what the type of businesses exist there. So I don't necessarily have a problem with that aspect of a general description. But Mr. Chairman, I'll put it in the form of a motion that we establish the precedent that we do not include phone numbers and websites on signs in the historical district.
Would that also include email addresses, Mr. McGarry?
Yes, email, websites, and phone numbers.
So there's a motion on the floor. Is there support for that motion? I'll second it. Just get up there. Discussion. Any further discussion?
One comment then, do you have to address the Fitness Institute of Troy since it's right next to what we just?
Is that a sign that's already been approved? Mr. Davis, Mr. Harris, somebody? I don't know.
That's my understanding, yes, along with the one on the back side of the church building.
Yeah.
And we're
In
now looking at all
2016,
signs downtown and reevaluate every sign downtown.
No, that would not. I mean,
I don't think we can reevaluate the signs we've already approved.
Well,
that's-
then this sign, the fitness sign would be
it's
fine,
okay.
same, like grandfathered in.
It's grandfathered in, correct.
Right.
Okay, that's why I wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Please call the roll.
Mr. Titterington,
Yes.
Mr. Cappers,
Yes.
Mayor,
No,
Mr. Westmeyer,
Yes.
Mr. McGarry,
Yes.
Mr. Wolke,
Yes.
Mrs. Early.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, staff, do you understand the standard now?
Yes, we will inform applicants of the planning commission's desires.
Does anyone on the planning commission remember approving that other sign?
I don't remember it. I don't remember it with the telephone number on it.
Yeah, it was,
I remember approving signs for this building.
Right.
it was long, it was several years ago, 5-6 years ago, probably.
Okay. Any other questions on this matter? You'll contact the owner of the property and the applicant and let them know that their application has basically been denied because it didn't meet the standards.
could we modify it with the removal of the number and?
If they want to come back with an application,
Okay.
I think it might be favorably considered based upon the standards that were adopted today.
Okay.
Okay. Next, we have a historic district application for 110 Pearson Court. Does staff have a report?
We do. Kevin and Phil Mueller, the applicant, also they own KPM Real Estate, the owner of the Pearson Court properties 1 through 10. There are 5 doubles there on Pearson Court that face the river. I think you saw this maybe a month or so ago when they were getting approval for other items to the property. Today they're asking for shutters and front side door side lights. So I'll just summarize here. 1 to 2 Pearson Court is asking for navy shutters on the 2nd floor only, and then replace the front door entrance with navy side lights. The front doors and all these to remain, just the side lights is what they're addressing. The side lights are approximately 12-inch by 81-inch. The other building is 3-4 Pearson Court. They like to add green shutters on the 2nd floor windows only. 5-6 Pearson Court, navy shutters on the 2nd floor. And again, front door, navy side lights. 7-8 Pearson Court, green shutters on the 2nd floor only. And finally, 9 to 10 Pearson Court, navy shutters on the 2nd floor only. And then navy side lights on the front door. And staff does recommend the proposed changes.
Any questions for staff?
And do we have the swatches for navy and green or?
Yeah, the last two pages. The last two pages in that application show product of the side lights, color, as well as the dimensions. The very last one shows the colors for the shutters, navy and green.
These really
Don't have the actual color number.
they don't have the color numbers and they didn't come out very well. That's not navy in mine.
Yeah, they're because they're side by side. I can see them navy and green here, but I agree with you, it's difficult to discern.
Well, Mr. Chair, one of the
Yes.
standards that we established a long time ago, and it happened to go coincidentally back to the Pitt building, was that we wanted to get really specific colors and numbers so that we could see what we were approving. I think in that case, it was taupe, and we found out the hard way that taupe really runs almost the full rainbow. In this case, green could be a variety of shades.
We had that same problem with the old UDF and the color red, if I recall correctly. So would you like to table the matter, Mr. Terrington, for them to go ahead and get us samples of the colors?
I would feel more comfortable with that.
The applicant's
Is it-
online. I don't know. If
I
he's
don't
got the
think he
color.
is.
Kevin Miller.
He kept trying to come in and
Oh.
I
Oh.
could not,
Okay.
he could not connect.
I know these are coming from Lowe's, I believe. I don't know if they have a color number. They're just what they are from the website.
Yeah, we could get us.
Oh, okay, so these are all pre-painted.
Yes, yep. These are not getting painted. These are purchased. They're a wood grain look, but they're vinyl. They're colored as you see it.
Okay,
There's no
so they are,
color number.
more of the green one is more of like a forest green, a darker green.
Dark green is what it's showing.
Well, okay. I can understand that. And then the navy is navy, so I'm comfortable with that as well. All right, well, that clarifies it for me. That explains why we didn't have a.
So your objection is cured? You're
I'm okay with that.
okay. Any other questions of staff? Commission want to take any action?
I'll move to approve.
Second it.
Motion and support for the motion. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Cappers,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Westmeyer,
Yes.
Mr. McGarrett,
Yes.
Mr. Wolke,
Yes.
Mrs. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Tittery,
Yes.
approved.
Okay, next we have the historic district application for 1226 North Short Street for exterior alterations, painting repairs, and some demolition. The staff have a report.
I do. And this is one that I don't know if we can share the document. I'm going to go over some of the pictures, but begin with 24 through 26 North Short Street is owned by Priam Holdings LLC. The applicant Allison Westfall, as well as Noah Grant and Andrea Westfall are on the application. And this was recently purchased. It's a quad that they are converting back to a double, which is what it originally was. There is a Ohio Historic Inventory form indicating that it was built in the 1880s. It's not on a national register. The property is zoned office residential. And then for a summary of the improvements, they are doing quite a bit. So I'm going to go through this somewhat quickly. For removal and repairs, there is the exterior of the building of the duplex is masonry, brick, and also stone, and they will do tuck pointing and repairs on all 4 sides of the structure. They are removing exterior stairs both on the north and south sides. Moving quickly through the pictures, since they're up in the photo elevations, you're going to notice the areas for the repair. This is the front facing Short Street. There's going to be some improvements to the porch area. All of the masonry on the outside will be painted, as well as the foundation and the lintels and sills. There are going to be 17 windows around the building that are going to get replaced with a vinyl replacement. The exterior will be black. The basement has about 12 windows that will get replaced. Those will be white. There's some front doors that will be replaced, 8-foot doors with a 12-inch transom on each side will get replaced. I guess we can scroll through the next series of pictures. Keep going. That's a close-up of the porches. Concrete steps will be fixed there on the right side. The railing will be replaced with a wrought iron rail, very similar to the wrought iron fence on the north side, which you kind of see on the one picture, but there'll be another picture there. You're seeing the numbered areas where there's going to be improvements with the replacement of the door number 2. Number 1, as well as in the other side, will get bricked in. That's a second entrance to the same space, so it's redundant, and it's not the primary front of the building, so that will get bricked in and painted. We can move to the next picture.
Oh, wait a minute. That picture, if you would just, the paint, it seems like it's in the middle of the picture frame.
Yes.
You want to address that while it's there in that picture?
That appears to be a testing of colors.
Right.
What that appears to be.
Colors that they chose? I forget.
Yes, the colors. The masonry will be a bear paint Swiss coffee. And then the stone lintel sills and foundation will be a Sherwin-Williams balanced beige. The soffit, porch deck railings and posts and fascia will be Sherwin-Williams urban bronze. And then the gutters and downspouts that are seen on those pictures will be a combination of urban bronze and Swiss coffee and balanced beige, as it's balanced through the top to the bottom of the building, so it matches. If that makes sense.
Thank you.
Where's the door that's getting?
The door that is being replaced on the front is the very last page of the packet. It's been numbered number 18. Yeah, you'll see. Well, no, I think that very first picture is about as close as you're going to get to. See how it's circled? Number 2 on the right side.
That's
Yeah, and then number 1 on the left side, bricking in the front entry side door. There are at least 8 openings that are getting bricked in. We'll see on the next slide where it says 4 in black marker. You'll see openings that are getting bricked. Again, you can see the north side stairway that will be removed. That's being proposed to be removed. The chimneys, they are currently investigating and are proposing to remove them if they have to. They are not being used. They will look to see how much is involved with maintaining them, but if not, they'd like to have them removed.
Greg, if they remove those chimneys, won't they have to have some sort of exhaust piping for the furnaces going up through that space somehow?
They would normally, except they're not being used for exhaust piping. If they are being used, they would have to put a pipe there. Correct. They would remove the chimney and put a pipe there. What you're not seeing on this picture, there's actually a solar panel on top, they want to remove that. You really can't see it from the right away, but that's part of the removal. The back end, you'll see number one, or it's basically called the mud room. And they did have to file a demolition permit for that. It's probably less than 300 square feet there. But because it does require a demo permit under the Planning Commission section for historic review, there is, of course, a demolition section. So I did include that in the report for that, but it's part of the removal or the demo along with the stairs. And then they would remove also the concrete steps and then re-pour new concrete patio and steps for the back area. Number 4, you can see those. This is the south side of the building. Number 4 would be removal, brick in. I think that's about it for that picture. The garage is a 5-car garage. The 3 doors on the north side would remain. The 2 on the south side would, I believe, are being proposed to be replaced, similar to the ones on the north side. And then they are proposing, it's a wood siding, just a clean repair, and then paint that the Bear Paint Swiss coffee color. And then the gutters and downspouts would match, similar to the house in terms of colors. I believe that's it for the garage. That's a side picture to some extras to give you a different viewpoint. There's a wrought iron fence, which is what they're proposing, similarly for the rails on both sides of the front, done by Knight Fabrication, which is close by in Carlisle. Some of the brick conditions, they'll get repaired. Those are the colors, and then of course those 2 pictures at the bottom are really trying to represent the type of windows, look and feel.
Okay, I don't see. Okay, here's the Swiss coffee, but where's
It would be
that light of color?
yeah, it's super.
Ones in the page.
Eventually. Yeah, that page 15.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Didn't show up at all.
It didn't copy.
Really?
No, that's all, yeah.
It's a copy.
It's a very.
Yeah. If you print it out, it shows up.
Okay.
I think that completes the summary of all their improvements that they are proposing, and staff is recommending as proposed.
Okay. Any questions of staff?
Yeah, I've got one question, Mr. Chairman. I couldn't hear the conversation about the Swiss coffee, and as you were talking, I was looking for the sample of Swiss coffee. Just out of curiosity more than anything, because you mentioned a number of times. Is there a sample coloring on that? I see a balance beige, an urban bronze, and a black.
So Jim, it is actually there behind the paint can. It is such a light color that it did not come through on the scan very well.
So Swiss coffee is somewhat of a
Cream.
light beige color, I take it?
Yes.
It's coffee with a lot of cream.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's, makes sense, I guess. No, I saw that where it said Swiss coffee, I just didn't see any color.
None of us are seeing it.
I didn't understand it either. Thank you for asking.
As long as it's not transparent.
As a comment, I really like the plan. I think that building needs it. I like the way that it would end up, at least in my mind it would. Greg, I'd like to have you address the demolition, however, in a historic district.
Okay, sure. So I put in the section B for the 4 points in which planning commission considers a demolition. And since it says in there, a demolition permit shall not be issued unless planning commission approves, that's why I put that section in there, because there is a demolition permit for the mudroom, as I explained. And I feel like looking at the 4 points, it's really intended for, I think, larger structures, but I believe it meets the second and fourth point if you need to look at least 2 or 4 to make approval for a demolition permit.
I think you're right. I think it does require at least 2 of those to be approved for demolition. And you're suggesting Roman numeral 2 and Roman numeral 4 might qualify. Roman numeral 2 being the structures listed as non-qualifying or is not consistent with any other structure in the historic district. And I think that might apply. I'm having trouble with number 4, however, because it wasn't declared a public nuisance.
Yeah, the wording on that first half of that sentence, you could state that, well, it's not a public nuisance officially,
And
and its removal will not adversely affect.
so has it been declared a public nuisance? I think the answer is no, right?
Correct.
And then it has to continue. It's not or its removal will not adversely affect, which I think it won't adversely affect, but it's and. So both of those portions of item number 4 have to apply, don't they? I mean, find me an answer where we can do this demolition.
Why is, you said that this, the mudroom is 300 square feet?
It's less than 300 square feet.
It's
Probably.
less than 300 square feet of what's the total of the building? Of the whole structure? You said
Geez, two-story.
it's 3,000 something?
It's probably close to 35.
Okay, and didn't I read in the demolition, the architectural standards, that if it's a minor demolition, then it does not need an application? Why is it before us?
Minors, I think minors don't need to have a reuse plan because they're considered minors. It waives the reuse requirements for it. It still has to have approval of the process. It states in there, any structure or part of must receive a certificate of appropriateness. Is what the language states. That's why Greg put it in the packet.
That's right.
I mean, I don't like what's there now, and I think what they're suggesting is a heck of a lot better, but I certainly don't want to suggest that we approve this if we can't get the ordinance satisfied.
I would assume that the square foot cost to improve that small area with the rotting wood and other issues it has would exceed the value of it. However, we don't have those numbers there. So I guess an option could be to go back to the West Falls and ask them to provide that if that would satisfy the planning commission. That would be item number 3.
That might be a way to go, because you're dealing with number 3 then instead of number 4, saying the square foot cost of meeting the minimum building code would exceed the square foot market value of similarly used and improved structures in the historic district. And we can go ahead and use the term structure as being the portion that they want to demolish, not the entire building. Is that what you're suggesting?
That's correct.
Okay, I like that. But we'll need some evidence to that effect, right?
We would ask the applicants to provide the repair cost for that.
Anybody else have any comments on that?
I will just say that it's not a part of the original building. It certainly detracts from the look at it, and having been in that room, I wouldn't walk on it.
So you're declaring it a nuisance.
It was a nuisance to me when I was trying to walk on the floor.
In addition to the tuck pointing, is there going to be some effort to smooth out the deteriorated brick before it's painted?
Yes.
Hold on, say again.
I believe that is the intent of the applicant, yes, to repair areas that have holes and vacant spaces. Yep.
Well, I know in a previous meeting, I said I don't like painting perfectly good brick walls, but this is not a perfectly good brick wall.
You're right.
Mike,
I'll make a motion to approve.
motion to approve everything, including the demolition?
I guess, including the demolition, I guess pending the I guess what you were asking, Al, in regards to support those items, in regards to the cost, getting the cost from the owner.
Okay. Doesn't the planning commission have to consider that though in its motion and its referenced into the motion?
So, Mr. Cappers,
Yes.
probably two different ways that it could go. Either we separate that out and ask for follow-up 2 weeks from now on the demolition permit, or Mr. Westmire's motion could be that it's approved conditional upon them submitting evidence to staff that meets that criteria. It's really whatever the comfort level is of the planning commission.
Aren't we then assigning the requirement that we consider the demolition to staff on that issue instead? I wouldn't think that would be appropriate.
It's really a comfort level of the commission, whether or not to delegate to the regulatory agency or leave that to the quasi-legislative.
I personally like your first alternative, approving the entire package except for the demolition, and then having them come back with some evidence that would permit the demolition to go forward on a separate application or a big consideration of this application.
Do we have to call it a demolition? Can we just say removal of dilapidated accessory addition to the building?
I like the way you think, but I think one's the same as the other.
I'm with Sandra. That's not an original part of the building, and it seems to have to go through the demo process. Demolition request is a little redundant to me.
Hello, this is the applicant. This is Grant Westfall. I am just curious on exactly, so if you guys decide to table it for 2 weeks and ask, what is it exactly? Are you asking us to give you a price on what it would be for us to completely rebuild that structure in the same fashion? Because it is literally falling off the building, as you know, it's probably got a 18-inch slope from one side of it to the other. I'm curious as to exactly what you guys are looking for.
That's a good question, and we don't know yet until we made a decision. But what's being talked about right now is that we would ask you to come back to us with the square foot market value of similarly used and improved structures in the historic district, and that structure being only that portion of that building that it's being demolished versus its new construction costs.
Can I ask what ordinance you're looking at?
If the planning commission were to say, no, we're not going to approve the demolition, and you have to repair that, okay, instead. Okay, so your repair costs versus what the square foot market value of that structure that's attached to the building is. So you might end up having to go to, I like what you're proposing, but you may have to go to an independent realtor, for instance, that might give you an opinion of value concerning the structure as is right now. And that value might be zip, who knows? And then give us an estimate of what it would take to repair that structure the way it is. And that would have to be from somebody else other than your own construction company. And with that information, then staff and the planning commission would have the ability to say, we now have evidence of what it would take to repair it versus what the market value of that same structure is. And I'm anticipating that that market value would be much, much less than the repair costs, in which case that would give us something to hang our hat on as to item 3 of the standards for demolition or removal.
Where are those standards, or where's the ordinance you're reading from, please?
So it's ordinance 1143.22, parent small f, close parent 10, close parent capital B, close parent 1.
So Ally, you have the report packet for your item. So it would be on page 2 of that.
The permit, yeah. I was just looking where the rules that you guys were reading that we're trying to satisfy here.
I think
It's not
it'd be
the permit. It's the staff report.
Staff report.
That was
If you
part
take a
of-
look at the staff report, he's included it on page 2.
Okay,
And it's titled on page 2, Standards for Demolition or Removal. And it would be Roman numeral 3.
thank you.
So Mr. Westmeyer still has a motion on the table. Mr. Westmeyer, would you reiterate your motion, please?
You want my original motion?
Unless you've withdrawn it.
Well, I guess I'll withdraw it at this time. And I really like the project. I guess I was trying to listen to figure out how I can restate it with the demolition.
Okay, the motion's withdrawn. Does anybody want to make a motion on this matter? Okay, I'll put it out there. I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve the application with the exception of the demolition. And then they can come back later for the demolition portion of the application after they give us evidence that would support the ordinance that's provided in the staff report.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Any further discussion?
Like it.
Who was the second?
Mr. Wolke made the second.
Thank you, thank you.
Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Westmeyer,
Yes.
Mr. McGarrett,
Yes.
Mr. Wolke,
Yes.
Mrs. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Titterington,
Yes.
Mr. Gabbard.
Yes.
It is approved.
Does staff have anything else to come before the commission today?
We don't know.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Hold it. I have a question, Al, on number 6. I want to go back to that. I would suggest that because we didn't take a vote or any action on that, I would make a motion that we approve that, or at least allow the applicant to amend without having to reapply, since we changed the rules mid-process.
I think that we can handle it. If we want to be clean, we can handle it as a new application, but that doesn't mean that we have to charge them another fee. Correct. We wouldn't do that to them.
And I'm
Is
okay
that what
with
you're
that.
concerned? Yeah.
That's what I'm concerned about.
No, that's fine. We don't do that. We just don't like to do amendments because you're sliding things in.
That's fine.
Clean.
They just should not have to pay for another application when we changed it like that.
Mayor, are you satisfied with that?
Yes.
Any other matters to come before the commission? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you for your attendance.
Thank you all.